Week 7, we covered particles. I'm going to make a new composition because we did particle playground already, we did particle system, and we learned how to parent the producer to a null so that the particle follows the null around and it's easier to move it throughout the space. I'm going to make a new composition. I'm going to call this particle world. Get back to my particles by typing in here. We need a layer. You've got to be in your timeline to be able to add things. So I'm going to go layer, new solid, make it comp size, color doesn't matter. I'll call this particle world. Alright, now I double click. I have the layer selected. Double click on particle world, hit the space bar, and there we have it. The grid is for lining up your 3D. This is the only 3D particle system in After Effects. The grid is for lining your shot up over video if you need to. That's how you do it. I'm going to make a camera, layer, new, camera. So I went layer, new, camera. I'm just going to accept the default. Now watch the grid. I'm going to press the C key to get my unified camera tool up here. And the grid will show you where we are in the scene. But it's not popping up here. That's fine. You're just seeing how the particles change. You would use the grid to line up your shot. Alright, now, sorry about that. We're going to go over the various settings of Particle World. Change this down to 8 so I'm moving faster. Okay. We're going to hide the grid. There's my grid. I just hit it. Showed it again. It's that line right there. We don't need it. Alright. Birth rate, we've already covered. How many particles are being born. Longevity, how long they're staying on the scene. Producer, we've already covered, and how to parent it. Physics. Now, I'm going to go with twirl. Let's watch this over time. That's what twirl's doing. Let's try twirly. That's what I'm looking for. You see the particles are going downward. I'm going to do a quick tornado effect with custom particles for this. The gravity, I'm going to change to negative so that they're rising. You already see them going up. The position of my producer, I'm going to move down so that it's at the bottom and the particles are going up. That's exactly what I want. Resistance, do I want them to resist gravity more or not? Let's see what that's going to do. Always work on the motion and then, oops, undo that. Then get your particles to look the way they want. I liked it better like that. Alright, now, let's shrink down my radius of the producer. See what we've got going on here. Okay. Change the position. Birth rate, more of them. Live a little longer. Velocity. Less velocity. There we go. Now it's tighter the way that I want it to look in the scene. I might change that based upon once I put the particles in, but that's where I would be doing it. Extra. I'm lowering the extra. And already the shape is getting... Let's do a little bit more velocity. Now it's getting wider at the top. The extra was what was messing it up. Let me drop that down to about there. And yep, liking that a lot more. Okay. Happy with that. Floor, I discussed in class loosely. I'll show you an example on that in another tutorial. Okay, let's check out our extras real fast. Make sure there's nothing else messing up. Alright. Now my particle. Alright, so we've discussed, changing the particle. There you go. Wow, that's not very interesting. Go change it back to line. Texture is where you get your custom particles. So, in my project, I'm going to go File, Import, or you could double click on the empty space, File, Import, File. I want the cloud. I'm going to take the fire video and the smiley face. I'm going to hit Open. With the cloud, I'm going to drag it into the scene and click the eyeball icon over here to hide it, because we don't need to see it. It's a PNG, it's transparent. Hooray for that. Now, in my particle, if I do textured square, I'll show you that with the smiley face. It's going to give a hard edge, and we do not want that with this effect. Sometimes you want it, sometimes you don't. I'm going to go faded disc so it's soft on each side, and you don't get any hard lines in your custom particle system. So once you're using a texture, you always have to twirl down the texture beneath your particle to activate it. And for this, I'm using the cloud. We'll go over a scatter with the smiley face. I did that in the class. And I'm going to drop this down to quarter resolution. There we go. Now, we've got our custom particle in the scene, but it's got to be bigger. And it's got to be bigger as it lives. Maximum opacity, I'm going to make that 100. Size variation, let's see what 0 does. So each particle is the same size. Let's try 100. That's looking a lot better already. Let's try origin constant. I'm getting this goofy, crazy color when I do that. I'll just do custom. I want this to be grayscale. No, you know what? Let's do something magical for this. I'll grab some green and some purple. Give it an otherworldly look. We want composite because we don't want it to get brighter. There's no scatter. All right, let's crank up the size of that a little bit more. And there we go. I'm happy with that. The opacity map. I do not want them fading on. So I'm going to draw in here. I'm going to fill that up. I don't want them fading off. That's already a million times better, in my opinion, for what I want this to look like. Now, if we crank up the birth rate, we're already seeing something pretty nice. I'm liking this. This is pretty cool. So let's adjust this death color a little bit, brighten it up a little, because it's a little dark in my opinion. Now, let's check out our extras real quick. I didn't cover this in class because we really didn't have time, but effect camera, this is the distance it is from the shot, rotate. This is where you can make it do whatever you want. I'm going to change that. Change that. That's not really doing. Field of view. We'll change that. Distance would be, it's not really affecting this that much with the reduced resolution, but that's alright because I am, if I do fade, you'll see these particles greatly change based upon how close or far they are away from the camera. And you could affect your distance here. See, this is going to make them look a lot further away from the camera. Like that. A greatly different effect. And all I did was just fade out the particles based upon how far away they are from the camera. So I'm going to change that. And I'm going to set this back to none. But like I said, with your extras, watch the difference. All I did was depth of Q, changed it, and then the distance from the camera. Same movement, different look. Light direction. Obviously, it'll affect the way the light is interacting with the particles. Within the particle system. Hold particle release. This is if you want a quick burst of particles out of a sphere. If I do 100%, you've got this glowing ball orb type of effect. So let's take a look. I'm going to animate this. I'm going to hit my stopwatch here, and then real quickly go down to 0. Come on. So it's 2 keyframes, 100% and 0. So it starts off as a ball, and then boom, you've got that to deal with. So we've got that looking the way that I want it. Random seed, you can always mess around with it, see if it's going to help or hurt you. I actually like that. I like what that did. I've got my custom particles in there. Now I'm just going to view it at full resolution to see how it looks. And there you have it. There's our smoke-like effect. As they're born, they're green. Nice hot green. And as they're getting closer to dying, they're purple. That's how that's happening. And you can see how the custom cloud really helps sell this effect using it as a faded disc. If I had it as... If I changed my particle to a textured square, there'd be hard lines, and you wouldn't have this nice, smooth blending of them. Now, as I said before, if you want density, like smoke, like a thick cloud or a tornado, your particle opacity should be 100%. If you want it to look like fog, knock down the opacity of the particles to, let's say, like 2 or 5%, and you'll get a fog-like effect or steam where you can see through it. It's all in how you want the particles to behave, move, and look. That's your choice as the visual designer. So this is using a custom particle and messing around with the extras. Now I'm going to show you in the next tutorial using video as a custom particle in Particle World.